What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Saffel, back again with another WrestleMania review, and today I'm here with my WrestleMania 24 review. So this WrestleMania took place at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, and I have to say, for me personally, this would be in like my top 5, top 10 favorite WrestleManias. I thought this show was just fucking great, in my opinion. So, story about me watching this. This was the first of 3 WrestleManias where I would go home after school and get dressed and get changed and go to my friend's house to watch the replay of the show. And we did this for WrestleMania 24, 25, and 26. And we had a lot of fun doing that. You know, me, my brother would come along, and my mate and his brother, we'd watch the show. And yeah, it was just great times, man. It really was. So we start off the show with John Legend singing America the Beautiful. I thought he did a great job of that. And we kick things off with a Belfast Brawl between JBL and Finlay. So the story for this was, it was revealed sometime the previous year that Hornswoggle was Mr. McMahon's illegitimate bastard son. And Mr. McMahon was punishing him with a leather strap inside of a steel cage. But then JBL took it too far and beat up Hornswoggle with Finlay handcuffed. So he then revealed to Vince that he wasn't Hornswoggle's father and that it was Finlay's son, which is not true in real life, obviously, but yeah. So it was a pretty good match to open up the show. There were lots of weapons used in this, like steel steps, steel trays, trash cans. I remember watching this for the first time with my friends, and we were laughing, like, just the way they would just hit each other with the weapons. It was just crazy, man. So Finlay went for an outside dive and got hit with a trash can lid in midair. That bit in particular, I remember laughing my ass off too when I saw that for the first time. JBL got rammed into a table set up in the corner, and JBL wins with a clothesline from hell, despite all that happening to him. So, yeah, I actually quite enjoyed that. It wasn't as, violent as Edge or Mick Foley from 22, but, it was just a fun little trash hardcore match to kick things off. And you know what? That's fine by me. So, we get Mr. Kennedy being interviewed by, oh my god, Kim Kardashian, and he pretty much says he's going to win Money in the Bank again this year. So yeah, Kim Kardashian was one of the hosts for WrestleMania. She would even announce the attendance record later on. Man, just like in 2008, I kind of knew who Kim Kardashian was, and now 10 years later, you cannot look at a screen without seeing her fucking face. It's just, oh, man. What happened to us as a society to get this bitch popular? But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something I actually do like, and that's the Money in the Bank ladder match that involved John Morrison, Carlito, Shelton Benjamin, CM Punk, Mr. Kennedy, MVP, and Chris Jericho, making his first WrestleMania appearance since WrestleMania 21. He would leave WWE in mid-2005 because he had some commitments with Fozzy and doing some other outside type work. And he came back in November of 2007, and he had kind of changed, but he hadn't really fully turned heel yet. He turned heel around midway through the year, but he was still a babyface. He was rocking the short haircut. And yeah, another year, another great Money in the Bank ladder match, in my opinion. So Jeff Hardy was actually meant to be a part of this match, but he was removed after violating WWE's wellness policy because, yeah, Jeff was not at a good place when it just came to his drug addiction and all that type of stuff. So some memorable moments in this match were definitely when John Morrison hit a top rope moonsault to the outside while holding a ladder onto everyone. That was probably one of the best spots of the entire show, in my opinion. So Shelton Benjamin got pushed off a ladder by Kennedy and Carlito and through a ladder set up outside. And I love Carlito and Mr. Kennedy's face when they push him off because they're like, oh shit, we fucked him up. And it ended with Chris Jericho and CM Punk fighting on the ladder. Punk trapped Jericho's leg in the ladder for him to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. This would be his first Money in the Bank win. He would win back-to-back Money in the Bank ladder matches at the next year's WrestleMania. But Punk would later cash it in on Raw in June or July of 2008, where he cashed in on Edge to become the World Heavyweight Champion, and a great moment for CM Punk. So, after that great match, we get to the 2008 Hall of Fame class, which were the Briscoe brothers, Gordon Solly, who was accepted by his family, Rocky Johnson, and High Chief Peter Maivia, who was accepted by his family, Eddie Graham, who was accepted by his son, and also Mae Young and Ric Flair and his family was on the stage to on his behalf, including a young Charlotte Flair, which it's so weird looking back now, considering how far Charlotte has gone when it comes to her wrestling career, because back then everyone just knew her as like Ric Flair's daughter, and now she's become one of the biggest names in women's wrestling today. It's quite awesome to see. So we get Snoop Dogg being interviewed by Todd Grisham about the event and how he got on really well with Festus, and Santino shows up to mock Snoop Dogg until he grabs a ring bell to wake up Festus and chase Santino out. So basically, Festus was pretty much brain dead. He was in a tag team with Jesse. They were like redneck Hicks type thing, and he was basically pretty much brain dead. But as soon as that bell rung, he turned into a complete monster and just beat the shit out of his opponent. So, and when they'd win the match and the bell would ring again, he'd turn brain dead again. So, Luke Gallows, you've come a long way, man. And Todd asks, how did you get the bell? And says, Snoop says, I know a friend, and it turns out to be Mick Foley. So that was a silly little segment there. So after that was the SmackDown vs. Raw Brand Supremacy match. Batista representing SmackDown, taking on the Samoan bulldozer Umaga, or according to William Regal, Umanga, representing Monday Night Raw. So the two GMs for each show, so the Raw GM William Regal and SmackDown Assistant General Manager Teddy Long, announced their guys into the ring. And I'll be honest with you, looking back at this match now, it's pretty underwhelming, considering, these were two guys who were very, very talented. I mean, Batista was at probably the prime of his career. As for Umaga, he was, in some cases as well, in the prime of his career. Batista won by hitting a big Batista bomb, and that happened. SmackDown reigns supreme. Yay. After that was for the ECW Championship. Chavo Guerrero. Yes, Chavo Guerrero was ECW champion. You don't get more extreme than Chavo, man. So, yeah, this was when ECW basically just lost its identity completely and just became a third brand for WWE. Like, even as a kid at this time, I hated what ECW had become, because it didn't feel like ECW. It wasn't violent. It wasn't, hardcore matches and all that. It was just another brand to me. So, Armando Alejandro Estrada was the ring announcer for this match. He was the general manager for ECW at the time. He'd kind of stopped being Umaga's manager, and yeah. So, Kane had won a battle royal before the show to earn his title match. So, Kane appeared from behind, chokeslammed him in a super quick match to win the ECW title. Like, it went in a flash just like that, pretty much. So, how long did the match actually go for? 11 seconds. That has to be some sort of record. I think that is actually the quickest match in the history of WrestleMania. I could be wrong, but yeah, that just went by in a fucking flash. So, yeah, squash match, cool. So, Raven Simone from That's So Raven points out to some kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation watching WrestleMania, which was, yeah, that was a nice moment right there. What was also nice, though, was this career-threatening match. Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels. This was an emotional one, man. So, around late 2007, Mr. McMahon told Ric Flair that, whenever the next time you lose a match, you have to retire. Because at the end of the day, we all know Vince McMahon is a cunt to people. That's his thing. So, after surviving various career-threatening matches against superstars like MVP at the Royal Rumble, Mr. Kennedy at No Way Out. Flair decided to challenge Shawn Michaels to a match at WrestleMania, and Shawn was reluctant at first, but he eventually gave in and said that he had to put Old Yeller behind the shed and put him down. So, yeah, it was a very emotional storyline because you can tell Shawn didn't want to be the guy to put away Ric Flair. He had almost idolized him for the longest time in his wrestling career and had become so close to him, having to be the one that kind of ends his amazing career. You know, I don't think Shawn really wanted to have that responsibility. So Flair was pulling out every dirty trick in the book, proving why he is in fact the dirtiest player in the game. So Shawn Michaels would combat that with his show-stealing performance that he was putting on at the time. And there was one bit in particular that was just crazy. Shawn hit a middle rope springboard moonsault. Flair moved out of the way and he just crashed through the announce table. Oh my god. However, by the end of the match, one of my favorite one of the best endings to a wrestling match I've ever seen. Definitely the most emotional, in my opinion. Flair is just, he's getting up because he's just experienced, you know, he knows his time is up. He's looking at Shawn, he's like, come on, man, bring it. Like, Flair knows this is it for him. And Shawn's just looking at him, just, you can just tell in his facial expression. The storytelling in this match was fucking brilliant. It was amazing. And just Shawn looking at Flair and just saying, I'm sorry, I love you, hits the sweet chin music on him to end the match and Ric Flair's career. And as soon as the 3 count hit, he just leaned over to Ric Flair and I pretty much said to him, you know, thank you for everything, you know, I love you, man. And Shawn, with disappointment in his soul almost, walks off after that match. And Rick is in the ring, he's crying his eyes out, thanking all the fans. He goes over to hug and kiss his family, and yeah, it was a sad day, man, for Ric Flair fans all across the world. It was definitely the final closing chapter of one of the greatest careers in the history of professional wrestling. Like, when you think the all-time greats when it comes to this profession of professional wrestling, Ric Flair has to be at the top. He has to be up there with Hogan, Austin, Rock, Taker, any of those guys. So, yeah, it was definitely an emotional moment, and yeah, he couldn't have gone out in any better fashion. So after that, we had Todd Grisham interviewing Edge, and he talks about, you know, sitting in the audience for WrestleMania 6 and watching Hulk Hogan lose. And when he watched that, he said he lost his innocence that night. But he says he's going to come full circle because he gets to destroy a kid's innocence when he beats The Undertaker. Oh my god, Edge was so good at being an absolute dickhead at this time period. I'll get to it more later on when we talk about the main event, but oh my god. Edge is one of the greatest heels in wrestling, in my opinion. Definitely top 10, at least. Top 10. I know, Billy, if you're watching this, he's probably at the number 1 on your list, but man, I don't blame you. Edge was just so good at just being a fuckwit. So after that, we had the Playboy Bunnymania Lumberjill match. So just from that title alone, you can guess what kind of a quality this match would be. It was a tag team match. Maria and Ashley versus Beth Phoenix and Melina, with Santino Marella in their corner. So Maria did a photo shoot for Playboy, and Santino Marella, who was her on-screen boyfriend at the time, didn't really approve of that. He wanted her to not pose for a booby magazine, as he put it. And yeah, I think they broke up, and he sided with Phoenix and Melina, which, funny enough, considering Beth Phoenix and Santino would later be a couple that year. So Snoop Dogg was the host of this match, and yeah, the match was not good at all, as most women's Mania matches were in this time period. It would be not until a very, very long time until the women's division got a kick up the arse. And the ending came when Jerry the King Lawler got out of his commentary table. He was just sick and tired of Santino being a dickhead, and punched Santino at ringside, which distracted Maria, costing the babyfaces to win. So Beth Phoenix and Melina pick up the win. Santino then gets in the ring, I think, to insult Maria, but gets clotheslined by Snoop, and yeah, he didn't really hit a clothesline properly, which I get it. Snoop's not a fucking wrestler, but he was just like holding his he was just holding his arm up, like it was fucking ridiculous, like he was trying to be a tree or some shit. And so after he clotheslines him, he just awkwardly makes out with Maria. Like, it was not even making out, it was just like multiple kisses. Like, yeah, this was definitely the lowest point of the show, in my opinion. Like, even the lighting for this match said, nah, fuck this. Because the lights actually went out during this match and would come back on during the next match, which is the WWE Championship match. Triple threat action. Randy Orton defending the title against John Cena and Triple H. So, Triple H and John Cena both had some injuries last year. So, Triple H tore his other quad at New Year's Revolution 2007 in a match against Rated RKO. He was teaming with Shawn Michaels as DX at the time, and he just references how he had to watch WrestleMania last year on the sidelines and how it just ate at him that he couldn't be at WrestleMania. So after making his return at SummerSlam 2007, he would try his hardest to get to WrestleMania pretty much and get to the WWE title. So as for John Cena, he tore his pectoral muscle during a match with Mr. Kennedy in October in 2007. He ended up finishing the whole match, which, you know, say what you will about John Cena's character all you want. He is one tough son of a bitch. He could have both of his legs fucking cut off, and he's like, but shit, I gotta finish the match. So, yeah, he would make his return at the 2008 Royal Rumble by eliminating Triple H, of all people, to win the match in one of the biggest shock surprises in Royal Rumble history. So, as for Randy Orton, his character was evolving. He was changing, because he went from being this arrogant dickhead who just, you know, was RKOing people for no reason, and so he turned from being a cocky little brat into being a more cold and sinister type of a Viper character. This was the year where the apex predator was starting to form for Randy Orton. So he even won the WWE title at No Mercy. He won it like twice that night, because there were like 3 WWE Championship matches on that show. It was ridiculous. So when John Cena returned after the Royal Rumble, he decided, why wait till WrestleMania? I'm going to face Randy Orton at No Way Out. So Randy Orton loses the match, but by disqualification, by slapping the ref. And on the same night, Triple H won the #1 Contenders Elimination Chamber match to get an opportunity for Randy Orton's WWE title. So Cena got his Mania opportunity back by beating Orton on Raw, earning his opportunity to be in the WWE title match. So that's why it's a triple threat match. As for the match itself, it was really damn good. I really enjoyed it. So John Cena even came out with like a high school marching band performing his theme song, which, yeah, it's a bit cheesy, but then again, that's John Cena, so what do you expect? Orton hit a crossbody on Cena, who was in like a seating position on Triple H's shoulders. I really liked that. And the ending came when Triple H avoided John Cena's FU to hit him with a pedigree, and he went for a pin only to get punted in the skull by Randy Orton, which would definitely be a theme for their match at next year's WrestleMania, and pinned John Cena to retain the championship in a very, very good match. So this is probably one of the better triple threat matches in WWE history, in my opinion. I thought all 3 of these guys worked very, very well for each other, and they even had a rematch at Night of Champions in 2009. So, yeah, I quite enjoyed this, and I have no complaints for this WWE title match. So, afterwards, we get a big match. The Big Show versus Floyd Money Mayweather. So, Floyd Mayweather, even in 2008, was one of the biggest, if not the biggest star in current boxing. Like, he was undefeated. He still is. He still is undefeated, and he had a lot of buzz surrounding him. So he was in the front row for the No Way Out pay-per-view, which took place in Las Vegas the month before WrestleMania. And Big Show made his return to the WWE. He had left after the December to Dismember pay-per-view, which, yeah, if I was a part of that pay-per-view, I'd probably leave the fucking company as well. But he returned at the No Way Out pay-per-view, and he tried to chokeslam Rey Mysterio. Why? I don't know why, because reasons, I guess. And Floyd Mayweather was like, can you fuck off, please? Leave my body alone. And he ran in to stop Big Show from attacking Rey, and hit him with a few punches and made his mouth and nose bleed. So the next night on Raw, Show challenged Floyd to a match at WrestleMania, which he accepted. So this was a very, very entertaining match. Now, although Floyd was originally the babyface in this feud and Big Show was the heel, I felt like they'd kind of reversed roles in this match, because the fans were booing Floyd Mayweather because, you know, he's a cocky dude, you know, he flaunts money in people's faces, and he's just a very easy guy to hate, pretty much. So, and as for Big Show, yeah, I think fans were just happy to see him back, I guess. So Mayweather tried to leave the ring with his team, which included Michael Tarver from NXT, which I wasn't expecting, but was stopped by the Big Show. He even with constant interference from his team, Mayweather managed to win the match by knocking out Big Show with brass knuckles. So yeah, I thought this was very entertaining. I really enjoyed this. This wasn't a technical masterpiece, but no one was really expecting it to be. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, nothing to complain about that. So after that, we had the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. The Rated R Superstar Edge defending against The Undertaker. So Undertaker had won an Elimination Chamber match at No Way Out to earn the opportunity to face Edge for the title. And Edge, in the build-up for this match, predicted that he was going to win at WrestleMania and end The Undertaker's streak, make it 15-1. And Edge was kind of had a little stable at the time. It was him and his girlfriend, Vicky Guerrero, who was the SmackDown general manager. Edge was just so good at being an absolute sleazeball, you know. Marrying, you know, trying to get in with someone who runs the show. Like, what kind of a person fucking does that? Like, And he also had a stable of two younger guys, which were Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, as like the Edge heads, who were basically they looked just like Edge. They even dressed like him and all that. So, and on one episode of SmackDown, they had a mock burial for Undertaker's streak. And during the burial, The Undertaker emerged from the coffin and attacked them all. So, this was a great main event match, in my opinion. Like, it started off slow, but then it picked up the pace when Taker did a dive over the top rope onto Edge. And Edge managed to counter most of the Undertaker's signature maneuvers and attempted to hit Taker with a tombstone before reversing it into his own, but Edge managed to kick out at 2. So, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder run into the ring, and Undertaker just fucks them up. Like, he chokeslams Zack Ryder onto Kurt Hawkins, which was just really crazy. And this caused him to be distracted and received a spear. And Edge went to hit another spear on Undertaker, but after he made impact, he got caught into the Hell's Gate submission hold, which was Undertaker's new signature move at the time. He'd make his opponents tap out. It was really cool, actually. And Edge couldn't escape. He tapped out, and The Undertaker won his second World Heavyweight Championship and his second world title at a WrestleMania. So, yeah, I love this match. I'm so happy that Edge got a main event match at WrestleMania. If anyone deserved it, it was him. Like, what a childhood story that would have to be for Edge. Ignoring all the kayfabe storyline, going from being in the crowd for WrestleMania 6 and watching Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior fight, and then 18 years later, main eventing a WrestleMania against the fucking Undertaker. Like, if that isn't what dreams are made of, I don't know what is, man. So, yeah, I love this. I love this match. And I love this WrestleMania as well. It's really good. And after the show closed, unfortunately, there was a little pyro accident while Undertaker was celebrating. There were meant to be these rockets that were shooting towards the entrance stage. However, one of the cables with the rockets snapped and fell into one of the top stands of the crowd and just shot into the crowd. It was really scary, actually. I think around 40 or so people were injured and 3 were sent to the hospital, but thankfully no one died or anything like that, because that would have been an absolute disaster if that was the case. So yeah, that's it for the show. My match of the night, there were a lot of great matches on this show, but if I have to pick one over all of them, I got to pick Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. The storytelling in this match was just top tier, in my opinion, and just the emotion in this match was just perfectly executed, and it was just the perfect way for Ric Flair to end his career. How I'm going to rate this show, I thought this show was great. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I really, really love this WrestleMania. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching this review. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your opinions on WrestleMania 24, and if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram's at JackManLol41 if you want to check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I am out in 3, 2, 1.